Hi, I'm Meryl Brodsky. I'm the Communication Librarian and School of Information Librarian here at UT. Today, I'll be talking about infographics. I'm interested in infographics as a component of data literacy, that is, being able to critically analyze and use data. Infographics have increasingly become part of our lives. At their best, they're used to convey data in an easy-to-read format. But make no mistake, an infographic isn't just about data, otherwise you could just use charts. An infographic is made to persuade a person to do something. As an infographic creator, you choose which data to highlight, and you lead the audience through the presentation of data in order to make a point, express an idea, or suggest a response. This infographic on diabetes is pulling data from a study on how people manage their diabetes. Its intended audience is healthcare providers who are planning education or care for their patients. For example, more people with type 1 diabetes have been offered a formal education program than those with type 2, and as a result, a greater percentage of people attended such a program. There are many examples of poor infographics. If you create a good one, you're using data and imagery to tell a compelling story about something. It's a very short story, so you need to structure it in a way that people are introduced to a topic, learn a few key facts, and then are left with a new insight. We'll go through each of these in the next part of the presentation. So you want to focus on an issue and tell a story. Here the focus is given in the title, Brain Health, and if we look at who produced this infographic, you can see in very tiny print, it's the American Stroke Association. That gives you another hint about what this infographic will cover. Using a title helps focus the reader on what your data story will be about. A title can also be used as a hook to get people interested. Infographics sometimes start with an introduction or a definition, as this one does with the As You Age paragraph. It's not necessary, but it can set the tone for the data, and it starts readers out with a base level of information. Then you should note there's a flow of information. It should be clear how to move through the infographic. So in this case, we start from the paragraph at the top, and that's delineated by a section. The next section is read left to right, and it includes statistics. You'll note each section has a different function on this infographic. The next section is read in columns, and these are suggestions for healthier choices. And then the next section is read left to right, and it ends with how to learn more. So is this an infographic? No, it's not, because there's no data. This is a list of actions you can take to take care of your mental health. There are icons and there are words, but I wouldn't call it an infographic. I'd call it a chart. I do appreciate the link to more information on the bottom. So this infographic has a lot of information. And the title and subtitle are clear and informative. The left third of the infographic details yoga practitioners in 2016, and the right 2/3 show a variety of statistics. But the fact that surprises me is how much money is spent in this industry, and that's down below. It's $16.8 billion. So while there's no specific call to action here, it does raise awareness that yoga is not a niche activity or market. Many Americans know about it and they want to try it. So with regard to visual elements, everything speaks, so include only what's necessary to make your point. Infographics are designed to be easily understood. The infographic should focus on your topic without distraction. Facts should be highlighted, and there should be few of them, typically 4 to 9, and icons or images should illustrate facts. So what I mean by that is use people to represent people. Avoid things like pie charts. Size and color should have meaning. The size of something should indicate its importance. Bigger is more important. And if things are near each other or under each other, that implies some kind of relationship. Colors should have meaning, and they may indicate actions, populations, or conditions. And you should use the color consistently throughout the infographic, but use color sparingly. Most people won't take time to decode many colors. That's why many infographic guides recommend using only 3 to 4 colors. So this infographic has some problems. Can you spot some of them? I'll pause for a moment and then we'll talk about a few of the problems it's got. Okay, first, there's no title. Then the U.S. is depicted here as a gray map, and it says 4.5% identify as lesbian, gay, or bisexual. That's fine, but it might have been more meaningful to say how many people that was, or the creator could have used a different color to show what 4.5% of the population would represent. Then we go to the next number. Of those, over 39% report having mental illness. And that sounds like a lot, but we don't know from this infographic, how does that compare to the non-lesbian, gay, or bisexual population? There's no way of telling. Okay, moving on. 5.8 million people. It sounds like a lot of people with mental illness. And then the arrow, we find out that this is more than the entire population of Kentucky. So why Kentucky? I mean, this is sort of meaningless to me. I'm not from there. I don't know the state. It seems arbitrary. And also the size of Kentucky is like half the size of the U.S. So I would say that this is not a very good infographic. The only positive I see is that the sources are listed and they appear to be primary sources of data. So your infographic should be appealing. In the corporate or professional world, graphic designers are often involved in creating infographics, but you don't have to be a graphic designer. The key is the data evaluation and analysis. You have to figure out what's worthy of highlighting and how to make your story make sense to the viewer. The imagery is important, but it should not overshadow the data. And there shouldn't be too much text. Try to find a balance. The infographic here starts with background information. How many people have disabilities? Note, it's the largest number. Try to give context to the data. If a certain population experiences something, how does it compare to the whole population? Using percentages is one way to do this. This infographic does this well by showing 2 times, 3 times, and 4 times in that top section. The next section gives facts about not being able to afford health care and the kinds of items people with disabilities need to be independent. And then the infographic closes with a call to action. I like this infographic. When you're developing an infographic, consider the audience. Are you speaking with healthcare professionals, regular people, or kids? This toolkit was designed to help clinicians provide care for people with severe asthma. Although it uses professional terms such as comorbid and outcomes and pharmacological, it's okay because it's targeted at clinicians. If it was targeted towards patients, these terms would be confusing. If you're creating something for the public, test it with readers to make sure the language is clear and the infographic is easy to understand. The data you choose to highlight should be compelling and relatable. It should persuade the reader of something. This infographic from the NIH shows the trend in vaping among teens and how quickly it's grown in the last 2 years. Almost 10% of 8th graders have vaped in the last month, 20% of 10th graders, and 25.5% of 12th graders. This doesn't end with a call to action. It's actually one of a series of infographics that describe this phenomenon, but it is created to raise awareness. Last, make sure to list where each of your facts came from on the infographic itself. Here's a page from the Medicine Research Guide prepared by our medical school librarian, Imelda Vetter, and it shows the top places to look for health statistics and healthcare statistics, as well as other information. I recommend taking a look at it. Use the original source of data if at all possible, not data quoted in a journal article. Find out where the survey or study took place and try to look at where the original data came from. It's important because you don't want to take data out of context. You need to understand which population the data applies to, the geography, and the time frame, so you know how applicable it is and whether there's any conflict around what you're presenting and what the creators of the data were trying to show. Whenever you're looking for data, you should think, who or which entity or agency would collect this kind of data? Many governments collect a lot of data, and they support agencies like the Center for Disease Control or the National Institute of Health, so that would be one place to look. Other entities like the American Cancer Society or the Muscular Dystrophy Association collect information about those particular diseases. Also consider renowned hospitals like the Mayo or the Cleveland Clinics, as well as universities with programs in specific specialties. Using references on your infographic not only lends you credibility, but it also allows someone who's really interested in the topic to find more information. Thanks for watching, and please don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions. Bye-bye.